You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Greetings, beautiful people. My name is Simon Javan Okello. I am excited to be here with you for another amazing episode of the African Father in America podcast. We are broadcasting on YouTube, where I would love for you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We are also broadcasting on AMP, which is an Amazon app that is really beautiful, especially for music lovers. So you should check it out. We're also live streaming on Twitter, currently known as X. We are also on LinkedIn as well as Facebook. So wherever you might be joining us from, I just want to quickly introduce my special guest today, who is my brother Waithaka, Waithaka Entertainment, who is the visionary behind Waithaka Entertainment, which is an amazing label, an independent label here in the US. Waithaka, go ahead and say hello to our listeners and our viewers before we continue on with the conversation.
Hey, hi, how you all doing? My name is Waithaka, and I'm glad to be on this podcast with Simon. Thanks for having me on.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I can't wait for us to dig deeper into our conversation today. Right now, I want us to quickly talk about today's proverb, which is from Burundi. Our proverb today takes us to Burundi, and I'm just going to pull it here real quick so that we can have a quick conversation about it. It's up on the screen, and it actually says, "Morning will still come with or without crowing of the cock." Morning will still come with or without crowing of the cock. I want to share 3 nuggets of wisdom from this Burundian proverb. This proverb really speaks about the inevitability of change. Change will come whether we like it or not. We age whether we like it or not, But here are the 3 nuggets of wisdom, and then I want to get the perspectives of Waithaka on this proverb. Number 1 is that time waits for no one, Time waits for no one. Life goes on regardless of our actions or inactions. Number 2, we must take ownership of our lives and take a chance to do what we need to do and make the best out of every moment. And then number 3, each new day brings opportunities and a chance to start afresh. So think about those 3 nuggets of wisdom. But for now, I want to come to you, Waithaka. When you hear this proverb from Burundi, morning will still come with or without the crowing of the cock. What does this proverb remind you about?
It reminds me of the fact that whether you stop or moving, the world around you will keep on moving. Everything around you will keep on moving. So to me, I look at it as an encouragement, just whether you're up, whether you're down, just get up and keep moving, because the world around you will still keep on moving, and it's sometimes we can get lost in our own world where we feel nothing is going on, but everything around us keeps on moving, and just keep on moving, whether or not you have to get up and move if you want things to happen.
That's right. Yeah, no matter what we choose to do, things around us are changing. So if we want to change with it, we have to do something about it.
Yeah, we have to be part of the change too,
Right.
So that we can improve ourselves also.
Right. I love that. So, first of all, I just want to thank everyone who is joining us on YouTube. Leave your comment, in the comment section so that we know that you're here. Let us know where in the world you're joining us for today's show. If you're going to watch this after the live stream, also leave your comment down there and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Many people in the Kenyan diaspora know Waithaka and Waithaka Entertainment. You are a well-decorated brother who has, established yourself as a composer, songwriter, producer. But many people really want to know a little more about where this all started from. And one of my favorite questions to ask guests that join me for the show is always to share a story, a childhood story from maybe around the time you are 8 to 12 that still continues to remind you of where you came from, continues to drive you, and makes you want to continue doing what you do today. So share with us a story, maybe to give you an example. One of the stories I share a lot on the show is when I was 8 years old, my mother gave me a bicycle, and I began distributing milk and bread in our neighborhood. She had a business where she would hire so many people with bicycles. In the slum, in the ghettos in Kenya, the shops in the slum sell, one piece of bread is sold to 4 different families because it's cut into 4 quarters, and so I was one of the people that distributed bread from our wholesale to the smaller kiosks in the neighborhood. And so this really helped me connect with the community, learn how to build business relationships, and also build community at the same time. So I want you to maybe share your own story about, and really this story is what helps me continue doing what I do. Whenever I remember those days, waking up is not a problem, taking risks is not a problem, so I want you to take it away and share your own story, kind of in the same lines.
Okay. My music story is pretty simple. It was in KU. I grew up in KU, Kenyatta University, and I grew up a Catholic. And we used to go for catechism, and I was an altar boy, all of that. And one day, the sister that used to teach us catechism played the piano, and I was fascinated. I always loved music, even as a kid, but the moment, like she played it, because they never used to play the piano that much in church for some interesting reason. But that day, she played it, and it was so beautiful, and I just got attached to that. And from that, I just made a vow that I want to learn how to play. And it took me 13 years after that to start taking piano lessons. And when I came to the US, a year later, I signed up for piano lessons. And I went on a journey of, self-discovery of how much I can push myself. And I would practice for like 4 hours a day. And I went from being, having stiff hands to being able to move across the keyboard easily. And with that came the experiment, my ability to experiment with different songs and ideas came from that.
I love that. That took me back to, growing up in the slum. I went to all kinds of churches and mosques, and the Catholic church in Kisumu. The biggest one was in Kibuye. I don't know if you've ever been to Kisumu, but we had Kibuye Market, where there was a huge Catholic church, and it was just beautiful. The architecture of Catholic churches were just inspiring. So we had a lot of friends that went there, and just hearing you talk about the Catholic nun playing the piano and that being the foundation for your music and who you've become is really beautiful. I want you to, first of all, I see that a lot of people have joined us on YouTube. I just want to thank you all. My name is Simon Javan Okelo. I am also the founder of the Madaraka Festival. We just ended our US tour in June of this year, and my guest today was one of the people that supported it, especially in Dallas. I was with him in Dallas in person, but he's also really a pioneer in the music industry. When I moved here to the diaspora a number of years ago, a friend introduced me to Ithaka virtually, and so I knew of him until we met this year in Dallas. So this is a really full circle moment now that we're sitting here and having this conversation. So if you're joining us, you're really in the right place with the right people at the right time. So Ithaka, when you think about that moment after the show ended in Dallas, when I came off of the stage and we kind of had a little chat, and then this moment here now, and also all your contributions, the conversations you've had privately about the growth of the Kenyan industry, the things you've done publicly, some of the incredible projects you've done. For example, the work you did with in 2020 with Odes by Queens. Can you speak about that for a moment, but also speak about the Kenyan music industry, speak about Madaraka Festival, and share with our viewers and our listeners, what your 2020 album means to you, what seeing Madaraka Festivals impact means to you, but also some of your hopes as someone who has really put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the Kenyan music industry.
Yeah. First of all, I have to give a big shout out to Philip Roy. Even though he's not with us, he's always remembered. I'm really grateful that he always extended a hand and mentioned people who are on the same mission as he was, and you were one of the names that used to pop up in your Madaraka festival. He used to talk about it so much, and it was from then on I made an effort to follow what you were doing, and for years, I just kept on seeing the consistency, and it all culminated with this tour, which hands down is one of the best tours I've ever seen put together, for the Kenyan audience. Even though your audience is much more broader than that, being in the diaspora, you tend to have a bigger reach to different people because we interact with different people from different countries, different communities, and our job is to expose them to what we can offer as a country, with our music, with our food, everything to do with our culture, whether uh, an individual community or Kenya as a whole community. And one thing I loved about the Madaraka Festival tour is just how you put everything together in terms of like the venues, because that's one of the biggest problems I've always had, or at least voiced. Um, the previous summer, I had gone for a couple of shows, and I wanted to see where we were missing, where we were falling short, and went for I went and saw four different artists, two American and two African, and the venues stood out for me. So the moment I saw the Dallas show was going to be at the House of Blues, where I had gone for two shows, I knew that was a win, you know, and I knew this wasn't going to be uh, something that's just, this was something that was well thought out, put together. Because to me, I knew the first thing that was going to be good is the sound, because you have the front of house. You don't have to worry about that. It comes with the venue. Um, then the space, the location, and what it told me since the inception of Madaraka Festival, I can see the consistency of what you did being put together in the whole tour, and just to see you connecting with people that I know in the diaspora, like the One Mic Show guys, Ali Badawi, DJ Omosh, and Humphrey Muturi. It's one of those things where you're like, okay, now the network is building. You're meeting the right people. You're working with the right people. You're bringing your professionalism on your side of skill and merging it with others, and we are building slowly. So it was, to be honest, it was one of the proudest moments I've ever had of, as a Kenyan, to see a tour like that put together. The only thing I can complain about, I felt it was too short. Like I wish the show was a little bit longer, but I understand. But it was amazing. It was amazing to see Sauti Soul in that setting where, even for their own doing, they get to be in a place where you can build content and promote your work in a venue that's built for that. So it was a really proud moment to see that. And I congratulate you for all the work that you did. I know it's not easy. Um, it's something that I fear so much. I won't lie. It's not
Yeah,
something for the
yeah.
faint-hearted. So
No,
yeah,
no, no, no. It's even recovering from such a project emotionally, physically, and financially takes time.
yes.
And so for me, it was worth it. And
Hmm.
I want to let you speak, because the only thing I'm missing is listening to people like you who have actually uh, worked for such things to happen.
Hmm.
And your presence here also is a fulfillment of some of the dreams that many of us had. A lot of us dream, but we don't put our dream into action. It's exactly what this proverb for today is speaking about.
Yes.
It's exactly what this proverb today is speaking about. But carry on.
Yes. It's exactly true. You're very right. It's exactly what the proverb is talking about. You came here with a dream. You started, you put it in motion, and you just moved gradually, and it kept on growing and growing. And to see where it's gotten, it's encouraging, because I won't lie, there's moments that I've had where I just like, I'll just turn it in, make music for myself, and raise my children, you know, but the passion just doesn't let you, give up. And that's one thing that I can say. Even just looking at your work, there's a passion involved in a whole project. Um, and So to keep any way that I can involve, any way that we can partner, any way that I can help, I am looking forward to it. You know, um, it was a dream of Philip. There are so many things that we dreamed about together, and I have to make sure in this lifetime that I fulfill as much as I can, and then maybe pass on to the next generation, which is something that I admire that you're doing. You're bringing a different generation. Your kids, my kids, are very much aware of now our our music, what we do. My children, whenever I'm working on a project, they're usually my first critics because I play the music so much in the car as I'm reviewing it, to the point where they know the lyrics. And I know I have a hit song or something if they can sing along. If they can't sing along, I know I have a problem because kids are very honest. So I know that just shows they have no interest. But luckily, um, I've been able to create to a point where like a lot of the stuff that they listen to, they enjoy. And now that brings me to the music that I've been working on. It's been years. Started working in 2004, you know, and my first uh, professional song I did in 2006, and I worked with a guy, which is interesting. He was my mentor, but before he became my mentor, he's the one that really made me push myself because he told me I I told him I want to be a professional keyboard player, and what happened? He asked me to play something for him. I couldn't play well, and he just told me to keep your day job, and that just became my motivation. And a year later, when he came in, he couldn't believe the difference, and from then on, he just took me under his wing. The first song we ever worked on was a song he wrote with his daughter, who also passed away from cancer. And, you know, We featured her and a Liberian artist called Julian Baba. He's on my project BLK 2541, and we worked on. He's the first artist that I really worked with. Where we have so many songs, and as I was working with him, I was also learning how to the songwriter, the producer, the artist in me was coming out slowly by slowly because I was just being challenged, and I had to figure it out. And from then on, here we are, almost 20. Next year will be 20 years of making music. So it's just been an interesting journey where of like just one step at a time, one step at a
Right.
time.
Right. It's definitely easy to give up. When you're learning as you're growing and building something that is also very delicate. Something like music, you eventually have to actually show people what it is that you're working on. And that attracts criticism, attracts haters too. But also attracts people that love you, that want to support you and ensure that you're successful. And as you're speaking about Madaraka, you're speaking about your journey. I also thought that it's important that we just touch on the West African music scene, especially the Nigerian music scene. If you compare that to the East African or just Kenyan music scene specifically, you find that the Nigerian scene is really, really thriving. Nigerian artists, there are probably 3 Nigerian artists touring the US at the same time right now. Why is that? What do you think they're doing differently than the East African countries? And do you think their government is playing a role, or their corporate world is playing a role that our corporate world is not playing? What is it that you think they're doing that is making it possible for Burna Boy, Asake, Wizkid, you name it? There are so many. Like, I can even speak of 7 Nigerian artists that are touring the world right now at the same time, and they're all selling out venues.
Yeah. It's you know what? I know it has nothing to do with the government because their government. I mean, a lot of African governments. Let's just not talk about entertainment. To them, it seems like it's a joke until they, you know, it's time for them to come and get like some tax revenue or whatever. But other than that, I don't find them to be very supportive. Having worked with Nigerians and having had Nigerian friends, one thing I noticed is once one Nigerian comes in, just know in a couple of months or in a couple of just to say in a couple of months or couple of weeks, a couple of more guys are gonna come in wherever there's an opportunity, because they keep one. The person that opens the door doesn't close it; they prop it open. And they just come in and they know how to support each other. They know they have this thing where maybe as an outsider, if they can help you not go through what they went through, and help you get to the other side much more quicker, they're kind of easy with dealing with that. And then they are very strong on their culture, and most of their music is very much stemmed from that. Even just the rhythm itself. So it's very identifiable. Even though like sometimes they'll sing in something we can understand, there's a lot of it that is uniquely for them. And also it helps that you have over, what, 200 million people. So that's a huge market to start with in Nigeria. Then they have a very huge diaspora community, which is so much in touch with who they are, where they're from. and they I will say, I've always said, our biggest struggle as Kenyans is we succeed in isolation. We succeed, but you're the only one there. And you stay the only one there. Unlike for Nigerians, if one succeeds, they'll go and bring others. You know, they want to come in and take over, and a whole industry, just dominate. And we can see that also with the Indians in tech. We can see that there's so many examples, and that's our one of our biggest struggles is that we feel like the next person is going to take away from us when there's more than enough for everyone, you know. So yeah, that's one of the struggles with the Kenyan music industry, and that's why maybe other industries thrive. Then um, there has to be a level of being professional. And this I'm talking from experience. Communication is a problem with our people in terms of like when we are working on something, getting back to me on time, like it is a problem. We have projects that we want to finish. We have a timeline. You communicate that. You know, someone says, "Oh, I can do it," but they've overcommitted. But they don't let you know that. So here you are waiting, and someone is not prioritizing you as much as you think they are, and that kind of ends up biting us. And that's why, you know, we even see like you go to, for example, like in Kenya, someone will, you're doing a show, you're opening up for someone, but you've accepted another show, and the time slot in between one show and the other is like 2 hours. And I'm like, do you realize anything can happen in a show? 2 hours is nothing for you to move from one place to the other, and those are the kind of things of overcommitment that, yes, it's good maybe for your visibility, you're being seen a lot, but also you're messing up the relationships behind the scenes because you're not being reliable, and that's one of the many things that I struggle with, especially when I'm dealing with artists from Kenya, and I'm like, there's no sense of urgency sometimes. You don't bet on yourself 100%. You kind of want people to hand it to you, and it doesn't work like that. I watched a documentary called Welcome to Lagos, and that's the one that really made me understand the perspective of people who are chasing a career in Nigeria. This guy worked in a dump yard, and he would collect trash, go sell it for recycle, and he would bet on himself. He would spend all the money, on whatever he was trying to do, studio session, photo shoot, and maybe a music video. And then I remember the interviewer asked him, what about for tomorrow? He said, as long as I'm alive, I can still work. So I'm going to worry about now. I'm going to give it all now. I'm going to bet on myself now. And then tomorrow will figure itself out, because tomorrow will still come, whether I do this or not. So like, the proverb we were talking about, tomorrow is still going to come. So the guy was like, as long as I'm alive, I will work. But if I'm going to bet, I'm going to bet on myself 100%, which is something even I struggle with. But over time, I've had to have moments where like I'm either all in or not.
Right. That's incredible. That's incredible, and that brings us to the final phases of our conversation today. For those who are just joining us, my guest today is an incredible leader in the Kenyan music scene, especially here in the diaspora, Waithaka Entertainment, and we've talked about a lot of things. If you haven't, if you're just joining us, you probably missed a lot. You probably missed the proverb. You missed, what inspires and drives Waithaka. So go back and watch this entire episode from the beginning. And also make sure you subscribe to the channel. Waithaka, please let our viewers know how they can stay connected with you via social media, and then share with us your closing remarks.
Okay. Once again, thanks for having me on. And you can find me on most of the social media platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. As this, I have two pages. There's one for the artist, which is Waithaka Music, which I do consider myself, even though I'm a producer, I do consider myself as an artist because I do release albums, whether featuring others or as an instrumentalist. And you can find most of my music as Waithaka Music. The pages is Waithaka Music, and the artist is Waithaka. And then I have another page where I run the indie label, and the production house, Waithaka ENT, and all the social media is Waithaka ENT. And that's, you will find all the work that I do. I have a YouTube page with all the work that I've done with people like Keisha, Christy Shield, my albums, even example of scoring work I have done, just for pilots. And my albums are on iTunes, most of the digital stores. You can find them under Waithaka. And I have 2 albums and, let me see, I think 4 EPs. So I have an all-female album called Odds by Queens. And this was a project that was inspired by the movie soundtrack, Waiting to Exhale, and also by Babyface, and also one of the Kenyan pioneers, Ted Josiah, who did Kenyan First Chapter. So it's a compilation of different songs, and I really wanted to do something similar, but I wanted to be only ladies. And a big thank you to Waithira, who pretty much A&R'd the whole project, because she brought the ladies to me. And ever since, I've been working with majority of them on their singles and stuff like that. And it's been an honor, and it's an honor to just see that I am considered the way I'm considered in the industry. And it's one of those things where, I never thought it would get to this level, because that's not what I was going for. I just wanted to make music, but I also understand the responsibility that comes with it once you get to a certain level. And I always want to see Kenya win. I've always wanted to see Kenya win, not just me, but we, that's why, to me, it was important to tell you how proud I was of seeing what you put together with the Madaraka Festival tour. And, keep doing what you're doing. You inspire some of us. You made me really question, myself about that, putting a show together. But now I know if I ever wanted to put something together, I can always reach out, get some ideas from you, or even partner with you, because we have a lot to offer, and our people are really, really have a desire to support us. We just have to give them a product that is worth the support. And I've always felt strongly about that.
That's beautiful. Thank you, man. I deeply appreciate your kind words. Yeah, and hearing your comments about Madaraka Festival really is that's the payment I get, to be honest with you. Because this is thankless work. It's the kind of work you do for years and years and years. The public sees that you're so successful. I'm telling you, if you see my DMs, they are big artists and big names in the entertainment world, beyond Kenya, that message me on my own personal Instagram and even Twitter, and they say congratulations for the win. You did, and they're doing it even now. During Madaraka, it was a lot, but now is when you get random messages from big people, and it surprises you. It surprises you that, wow, this person is paying attention to what is going on. And sometimes these messages come at a time when you're actually feeling down emotionally, you're feeling exhausted, and then suddenly there's a message. So it's really, for me, I always look at the work I do as God's work, and sometimes God speaks to you through other people that for some reason they just say that, let me just tell this guy that, I'm proud of him. And for me, that's bigger payment than the dollars you could make from such an effort, because Bob Marley said that, if you're after money, numbers can never have an end, So if it's numbers you're after, you can count until you die. The numbers will always continue. But if it's, love and community you're trying to cultivate, you will realize it during your lifetime. And I feel that for me, that's what I'm realizing, I'm discovering how excellent our Kenyan community here in the diaspora is. I have to say that the Kenyan community came through for Madaraka Festival, but the Kenyan community comes through even for the Nigerian artists. I was at a show here in Seattle for Asake, late last month, and 70% of the audience was Kenyan, 70% of the audience. But even if you look at Europe, if you look at Reggae Jill, if you look at Afro Nation that just happened in Portugal, do you see how many Kenyan flags are at the front of the stage? Sometimes yes. 7 Kenyan flags, 12 Kenyan flags. So it just shows you that what you're saying earlier, our children are paying attention, and so I was in London recently, and my oldest sister has teenagers, that are in their early 20s and late teens, and they're all going to these international festivals, but they're going with Kenyan flags, they're going with Kenyan outfits, and they went to Kenya 15 years ago, So it just shows you how the efforts we are making, is it's not in vain, so just keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. And again, thank you. And to our audience members, everybody who has been listening in, whether you're here on YouTube, by the way, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That's one of the ways that you can support, and give this video a thumbs up. And also leave us with your comments so that we know you're paying attention. Let me know what you think about our conversation today. And for those who are watching on other platforms, thank you as well. We have listeners on AMP. We are building a really good partnership with AMP that is owned by Amazon, who have sponsored Madaraka Festival for the second year in a row. So if you haven't downloaded AMP, check it out. It allows you to play music while you do your own show. You can create your own show like this, or you can come up with a different show, but it gives you access to all Amazon Music, and you can play it live on the show. So check that out. But just a couple of things I want to mention as we close our show today. September 17th, we have the Taste of Madaraka dinners at Langston Hughes Performing Arts Institute in Seattle. So save the date. The information is trickling down, and people are starting to learn about it. This is a dinner series that I have organized for years, since 2016, but it's coming back, and it's being rebranded as Taste of Madaraka Festival, because we are really focusing all our energy on growing the Madaraka Festival brand. And then secondly, we are also helping with the marketing of the Africa Day Business Forum that is happening on September 30th here in Seattle as well. It's organized by the African Chamber of Commerce of the Pacific Northwest. You should also check it out. Get your ticket for that at Eventbrite. And with that, I just want to thank you again, Waithaka, for all the work that you're doing. and for taking your time to be here with me for the show. And I thank all our viewers and listeners for taking their time to be here with us. Take great care of yourself, my brother.
Thank you. And you do the same, and keep doing what you're doing, man. It's an inspiration to many of us.
Thank you so much. Asante sana.
Yeah.
All right.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington.